Today on The Lawyer You Know, I'm going to tell you how to get your resume to the top of every law firm's pile. There are tons of elements to your resume when you're a law student. A lot of them can include jobs, internships, externships, your GPA, all sorts of things that we're not going to cover on today's video. But what we are going to talk about are the groups and clubs you can join while in law school that can really build your resume to get you pushed to the top of that pile. So when you go into law school, they tell you your first year, some law schools like Florida State where I went even make you sign a document saying I will not get a job or do any extracurriculars my first semester or even first year. They want you to focus on your studies, focus on reading, focus on learning how to think like a lawyer. And I would also suggest that. Your first semester, you need to focus on school. Second semester and second year, when you start to get into the groove and learn how things work, then you need to jump in full force. There are a number of different clubs and associations you can join. Some of them you just have to sign up for and volunteer your time. And those include student body organizations, specific practice area organizations like litigators or trial lawyers or estate lawyers or wills and trusts or family law lawyer clubs, where all of you have similar interest in the type of practice area you want to go into after law school, and that can be a great start to your networking. As lawyers, networking is so important, and these clubs can really help you with that and help you get connections with students that are a year or 2 years older than you. And that can go a long way when you're interviewing after law school or during your 3L year, because those students you became friends with and networked in those groups are now working in the law firms you're probably going to apply to and interview for. So, in addition to those clubs that you can join, you can also try out for and try to qualify for some of the extracurricular groups like the three most prestigious, which are Law Review, Moot Court, and Mock Trial. I want to focus on these three because these are some of the biggest boosts to your resume you can have, and one of the main reasons is they give you a lot of real-world practical knowledge and skill practice while in law school. So I'll start at the top. The most prestigious at most schools is the Law Review Journal. There are a lot of journals in each school, and all of them can really help you with your researching, writing, and editing skills. But at the top of most of those lists is Law Review, and the top position is being the editor of Law Review. So if you can get a leadership position or a board position on these groups, that's of the utmost importance and really pushes your resume to the top. And in Law Review, like I said, you're drafting documents that become the journal that the school reads, and that these articles can go into systems like Westlaw or LexisNexis that they actually use in trying to make arguments on certain parts of the law that lawyers may even cite to in the future. They can cite to Law Review articles from certain schools. Law Review teaches how to research, write, and edit documents that can be authoritative in the future. In order to even be considered for Law Review, usually you have to have a certain GPA or be in a certain percentage at the top end of your class, which is why it's so important that first semester or first year to really get as high of a GPA as you can. Stop. If you like the content in this video, smash the like button or leave a comment below so we can know what content you want us to put out. And don't forget to subscribe so you can get the alerts whenever we put out new videos. The second most prestigious group, in my opinion, is Moot Court. That's like the fake appellate team. And in Moot Court, you learn how to take an issue or a case, read and spot issues in that case that you're going to research, and create an appellate brief with case law and arguments arguing your points that's going to be submitted to a series or a group of appellate judges. And then you get to practice your oral argument skills in front of that panel of judges. So this teaches you a ton of practical application. You learn how to research, how to write, how to spot issues, and then how to think on your feet as you're answering questions that are being peppered by the panel of judges. And this is so much fun because I was on this at Florida State, and in order to make the team, you have to go through this process where you try out, where usually you have to have a certain GPA or be in a certain top echelon of your class. Then you have to write your appellate brief and submit it to the students that are on the Moot Court team to review. And they pick certain students to get to the last round of oral arguments. And you do these oral arguments in front of the students that are already on the team. And they're peppering you with questions, trying to make you feel uncomfortable, asking funny things, see if you break your seriousness through the arguments, and you have to stay focused and argue the case and deal with these tough questions in order to be chosen to make this team. The tryout process was so much fun as a participant and as a judge. It's one of my best memories in law school. And similar to that is the mock trial team. Not every school makes you have a certain GPA to be on the mock trial team. This is fake trial. This is trial practice. These are the best trial attorneys in law school, honing in their skills if they know they want to do this afterwards. And in mock trial, you learn how to take a case that's going to trial, spot the issues, create an opening statement and a closing argument, practice your direct examination for your witnesses and cross-examination for the other side's witnesses, and even argue some motions. And just like Moot Court, this tryout process was so much fun in law school. When I was on this team and was able to be a fake judge and a fake juror for the students that were trying out for it at Florida State, it was so much fun. We got to see students get a little bit nervous before they started. And we really got to see how and one of the most important things you learn is how these students and how these participants learn how to deal with objections, making objections and responding to objections, and dealing with the judge not arguing in their favor. When a judge rules against you, you've got to deal with your facial expressions, your emotions, and how you're going to continue on and not let it stop you dead in your tracks. One of the cool things about Moot Court and mock trial is you get to travel all across the country and even in some circumstances across the world, going into these competitions against other law students and other schools across the country. And you get to argue in front of real judges and real lawyers that give you some input and critiques at the end of each round. In some cases, you even get to do oral arguments in front of justices in the Florida Supreme Court or in front of appellate judges of other states or even state court judges and lawyers that practice in these areas. And they give you a lot of great tips at the end that really can help you and are a great talking point when you're in interviews, because that's what we're talking about, is resume builders. And these three groups, above all the other ones, give you tons of practical application that you can talk to for whoever's interviewing you that's going to be impressive from the experiences that you've had. You've gone into these competitions, you've tried fake cases, you've done fake oral arguments, and you've written serious articles in the Law Review Journal. So these are some of the coolest experience, but also the best things to put on your resume to make you rise to the top of that pile. So if you have the opportunity to try out for any of these groups, I would say absolutely go for it. If you don't make it, no big deal. There's no harm in trying, but I would absolutely try it because you'll better yourself and you'll make your resume even better than all of the other students that you may be competing with for that job. Now, one of the questions I get all the time, because I did 2 of these 3, is should you try to do all 3? And the answer usually is no. They're very time consuming and most people recommend just doing 1 or 2 of them at the most. I knew I wanted to be a litigator. I wanted to try cases. I wanted to make my arguments. And so that's why I focused more on mock trial and moot court. I probably wasn't even smart enough to get on the law review, so I'm not saying I only didn't get on because I didn't try, but I probably wasn't smart enough for law review. That was not my skill. I'm much more skilled in the attributes of moot court and mock trial. That's kind of what I gravitated towards. And I think that's also important. If you like one of these aspects better than the other, I'd focus on that because you're going to have more fun and usually you're going to be more successful in the group that you feel like you fit into most. So I would absolutely do my best to get on some of these journals, join some of these clubs, do as many extracurriculars that can really build your resume and set you apart when you're applying for jobs after law school.